Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this virtual event from the German National Tourist Office in London and their partners from the Beethoven Gesellschaft in Bonn. Before the summer, the world started to open again and some of us started travelling. But the COVID pandemic is still ongoing and we live in a challenging period in terms of the future of travel. Those of you who have travelled recently will have experienced a new normal with different measures in place. There are plenty of destinations that are still under strict quarantine measures, but Germany is one of the very few countries not on the UK's official quarantine list, and the team at the GNTO in London are hoping it will stay that way. However, some parts of the UK, Northern Ireland, Scotland, North East and North West England, Yorkshire and Humberside are, I'm afraid, still classified as risk areas by the German government. This means that arrivals from those areas must show a negative test result not older than 48 hours or quarantine for 14 days upon arrival. But there are still a number of areas in the UK where this doesn't apply. Germany is considered a safe destination. There is widespread testing throughout the country and a high commitment to stick to coronavirus regulations and rules. Everyone in Germany is hoping that we will be allowed to travel without restrictions again soon, and they look forward to welcoming us. So without further ado, let me introduce our panellists for this event. Joining us today, we have Beatrix Haun, Director of the German National Tourist Office UK and Ireland, Mara van Rees, Head of PR at the German National Tourist Office, Charles Wilson, Sales and Trade Manager at the German National Tourist Office UK and Ireland, and also Ralf Birkner, Commercial Director of the Beethoven Gesellschaft, who will update us on the Beethoven 250th anniversary celebrations. Welcome to you all. So today's agenda is as follows. First, we will receive a welcome from the GNTO, followed by a short update on travel to Germany. After we've heard from them, we'll be concentrating on our main theme for today, Beethoven's 250th anniversary celebrations, starting with a video from Beethoven 2020 and followed by a presentation from Ralf Birkner, who will update us on the upcoming celebrations, what to do in Bonn and the surrounding area. Finally, we will move on to the Q&A section. So if you have any questions, please add them to the Q&A section, which you can find down below. So let's begin with an introduction to Beatrix Haun. Beatrix is the director of the GNTO in London. She's worked for the GNTO in Frankfurt, Paris, Vienna, and now London, and is delighted to work in the British market, a very important market for Germany. Her favourite destinations in the UK are London, Cornwall, and Scotland. So over to you, Beatrix.
Thank you so much, Howard, for this introduction and for these updates. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are in a good health. Thank you for joining us today. The last few months have been challenging for us all, but hopefully things will be better next year. Next year, maybe. We all know that Brits have travel in their DNA. Most people will rather give up other luxuries than travel. Moreover, as I know, the Irish people, they love to visit our cities. We all hope, really, that 21 will be a better year. And with this in mind, together with our partner from Beethoven Gesellschaft Bonn, we would like to share some insights into the UK and Ireland market and give us some inspiration for travel to Germany. I have two specialists in my team and I hand over now to Mara and Charles. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrix. Let's introduce Charles and Mara. Charles Wilson is the Sales and Trade Manager at the GNTO. Those who know him know that he's an avid football fan. His favourite team is Tottenham Hotspur. He's been with the GNTO for almost 10 years. And Mara looks after PR and media at the GNTO. Mara started at the GNTO in January, so it's been an interesting start to her role with all that's happened this year. Like most of us, she's looking forward to being able to travel again soon. So here with an update on travel to Germany and some facts and figures, here's Charles and Mara.
Howard, thank you very much for that kind introduction. So, according to the Nations Brand Index, which looks at a number of factors to rate the nation's competence, factors which include a nation's health system and its tourism and culture industry, Germany is in first place. The figures of a Forward Keys survey of international flight traffic shows the UK as Germany's highest incoming source market in air travel during the last weeks. A similar trend is also reflected in tour operators and online travel agency reservations, who are generally saying bookings to Germany for 2021 are on the up. Also, a recent survey conducted on behalf of the German National Tourist Office by the European Travel Monitor has shown that 59% of British people intend to travel abroad once things open up. Right, as you can see from this graph, travel has been heavily affected by the pandemic. However, there are signs of recovery, but it is a steady climb, and full recovery is going to take a few years. For Ireland, we anticipate it could be in 2022, whereas for the UK, we possibly won't see an increase until 2023. Nonetheless, the UK is a very important market with a high volume, and the numbers from Ireland are also steadily increasing. So in summary, the stats show a desire for travel, an upward trend in travel bookings, and that Germany is seen as a safe destination. Over to you, Mara.
So with now all this, the update on the facts and figures, we also just wanted to give you a brief update or reminder of our product. So the core brand, as you all know, is like towns and cities and culture, and then nature and recreation. But every year on top of this, we have some specific marketing themes. So for next year, for those of you who don't know that yet, it will be German spa tradition and German local culture. So Germany is a great spa and wellness destination, so there will be a lot on offer, and there also is a very diverse range of local culture which we want to celebrate next year. So we're really looking forward to that. Today, however, we want to talk about Beethoven and the city of his birth, Bonn, which is our annual theme this year. And obviously it was the 250th anniversary of Beethoven this year, and in 2020 we wanted to really celebrate it. Unfortunately, due to the current climate, it wasn't really possible to go ahead as we all planned, but it would be really great to celebrate it now and in 2021. And Ralf Birkner, who has joined us from the Beethoven Jubiläumsgesellschaft, he will tell you more about this in a second and what's on and what will be on in 2021. And also, Bonn obviously is a destination in itself, so it's a destination that has a lot of things to offer. It's a place rich in culture and history, and there's also plenty to discover in the surrounding area. But again, Ralf, he will update you on this in more detail in a second. In the meantime, if you have any questions now or later, please always feel free to contact me or Charles. We're happy to always help with information that you may need. We're also still happy to organize press trips as long as you're not based in a risk area. So hopefully lots of you are not based in those risk areas, and we hope the list for risk areas won't be extended soon, so we can still organize press trips and host you. And with that, I'm handing back over to Howard, who will introduce Ralf and then the update on Beethoven.
Thank you very much, Mara. Thank you to Beatrix, Charles and Mara for all of your updates. So now we are going to move on to the section about Beethoven. We're now going to show a short video about Beethoven and how he is still relevant in 2020. So sit back and enjoy watching Beethoven with a modern twist.
In the dream, I'll be waiting for good.
Ich begrüße Sie alle herzlich in Bonn am Rhein. Ludwig van Beethoven wurde 1770 hier geboren. Hier hat er seine prägenden Jugendjahre verbracht, ehe er im Alter von 22 Jahren nach Wien zog. Beethoven ist für uns mehr als seine unsterbliche Musik. Innovation, Internationalität und Emanzipation, diese Begriffe umschreiben Beethovens Gedanken- und Ideenwelt. Sie charakterisieren auch unsere Stadt Bonn. Als Stadt, die sich immer wieder neu erfindet und der zukunftsorientiert gearbeitet und gedacht wird. Als internationale Stadt mit Mitbürgern aus 180 Nationen und als deutsche Stadt der Vereinten Nationen, wo unter anderem das Weltklimasekretariat seinen Sitz hat. Als Stadt des deutschen Grundgesetzes, auf dessen Basis die Bundesrepublik in den letzten fast 75 Jahren einen einmaligen Erfolgsweg gegangen ist. Die ganze Welt feiert den 250. Geburtstag Beethovens mit uns. Und wir können der ganzen Welt zeigen, dass Bonn so spannend ist wie seine Musik. Wer Bonn einmal besucht hat, weiß, was ich meine. Die Vielfalt und vor allem Qualität unseres Kulturlebens überrascht viele. Unsere Hotelauswahl lässt keinen Wunsch offen. Unser Service für Sie ist umfassend. Und unsere rheinische Gastlichkeit ist ebenso sprichwörtlich wie unsere Lebensfreude. Unser Motto lautet: Bonn ist Beethoven, weil Freude hier am schönsten klingt. Kommen Sie, überzeugen Sie sich selbst. Ich lade Sie herzlich ein, zu uns nach Bonn zu kommen.
So there we go. So that's Beethoven with a modern twist and an introduction to Beethoven celebrations and the city of Bonn. And you would have seen the mayor of the city of Bonn there giving a bit of an introduction. But we aren't going to meet the mayor of the city of Bonn. We're going to meet Ralf Birkner. So let me introduce you to him. Ralf Birkner is the commercial director of the Beethoven Gesellschaft. Ludwig van Beethoven is the most frequently performed of all classical composers. He was also a radical artist who constantly reinvented himself, expanded the boundaries of music, and posed questions to society. Even today, he inspires people all over the world. Beethoven 2020, i.e. the Beethoven Gesellschaft, celebrates the 250th anniversary of his birth by mobilizing people and opening up a wide range of perspectives on this composer. So here with an update and a presentation is Ralf Birkner. So over to you, Ralf.
Thank you very much, Howard, and good morning. Welcome to BTHVN2020. This is our main logo and is created by Beethoven himself. For the Beethoven anniversary year from December 2019 to now, September 21. Beethoven signed letter and partitures with LV BTHVN, so at this time he was modern and visionary in all things he did. So at the next slide, you can see impressions with the opening week in December 2019. We started this Beethoven anniversary year, and our slogan is Discover Beethoven. Our last concert before the Corona lockdown was London Symphony Orchestra with Simon Rattle in February 2020. And our first project, the next slide, after the lockdown was a Beethoven Pastoral Project. So Beethoven created the Sixth Symphony, the human being and nature. And so we created this project together with the UN World Climate Secretariat, seated here in Bonn. Artists from around the world were called upon to make a strong artistic statement for climate protection. More than 500 artists signed in until today in this climate declaration. The patronage was Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General for this project. It was our biggest project because it is a worldwide project. So Beethoven and nature. The next slide, we are very happy about the extension of the celebrations of Ludwig van Beethoven's birthday until September 21. So the participatory anniversary program and Beethoven's home regions are attracting a great deal of attention. With coverage in over 40 countries and a total coverage of around 3 billion, the celebrations have a global appeal that is expected to have a lasting effect on Beethoven's birthplace, Bonn, the Rhein-Sieg-Kreis district, and the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. The media response from October 2019 to July 2020 is 5.4 million reports in print and online media and more than 135 million contacts on TV and radio. So Beethoven around the world. We continue with this anniversary program. The next slide. We are planning for 2020 and for 21, and this planning process is growing up. 1/5 of events still planned for 2020. We give public money for 200 projects, about 16 million euro, and only 9 projects are cancelled until today from 200. The next slide shows the highlights of 2020. We are going through our highlights is 16th of December and the 17th of December 2020. We do not know exactly the date of birth, but we think it was 16th of December 1770. Beethoven was born in Bonn. We exactly know that he is baptized on 17th of December 1770. So we celebrate his birthday at 16th with the Beethoven Nacht powered by Deutsche Telekom. What would Ludwig have said about the last few months? Would he have composed nothing and waited to see how everything would develop? Or would he have rewritten and adapted existing pieces to the current mood? An evening that gives hope for the future and shows the work of artists who are not scared and who respond to the themes of the time with creativity. And at the 17th of December this year, we celebrate his Beethoven anniversary year at the Opera Bonn with Daniel Barenboim and the West Eastern Divan Orchestra. We don't know if it's possible to sing the Ode to Joy, but we hope it will be function together with the Beethoven night on 16th of December as birthday highlights. The anniversary concert forms this stating signal for the extension of the anniversary. And Bundespräsident Frank-Walter Steinmeier will give a speech at this time. Next slide, please. We are looking forward to the highlights in 21. We start with our program in May. We are very happy to have an open air concert in June in front of the Bonn Palace with German bands Die Fantastischen Vier, Kraftwerk, and with Robbie Williams. And Robbie Williams promised to perform Beethoven music. So the Beethoven anniversary program will end with the Beethoven Festival in September 21 with the artist directress Nike Wagner. Next slide, please. Now let me show you the touristic highlights in Bonn. The home of Germany's most celebrated composer, Ludwig van Beethoven. We talked about it. He was born on 16th of December and he lived 22 years longer than Mozart in Salzburg. Bonn is a former capital and current UN city with about 1,200 employees in the UN secretaries. The Beethoven city of Bonn voted one of the top 5 cities destinations 2020 worldwide by the travel publisher Lonely Planet. So we are very proud of this. It's the center of the International Beethoven Anniversary year. It's Bonn and it's the Rhine-Sieg-Kreis, it's North Rhine-Westphalia and Germany at all. So the focus point is the museum Beethoven House in Ludwig van Beethoven's birthplace. It's one of the most visited music museums in the world and one of the 100 most popular sites in Germany. The multimedia tour, Beethoven History, with 22 stations in Bonn and in the Rhine-Sieg-Kreis on various topics and aspects of Ludwig van Beethoven, brings the life of the artist in public space to live. The island Rheinaue and Grafenwert are green oases that attracted people from all over the region in the summer months. Open air festivals, concerts, flea markets, and other cultural events take place here all year round. Next slide, please. You can see the Beethoven monument at the Münsterplatz. Queen Victoria visited the inauguration in 1845. The Old Town Hall and the cherry blossom in the Old Town of Bonn was developed as a touristic highlight via Facebook, not via tourism strategy. So Facebook created a tourism highlight in Bonn, the cherry blossom. Next slide, please. You see the Beethoven house, the birthplace where family Beethoven lived in Bonn. And he's born in the back. You can see the garden and the garden house. And the last room is the birthplace of Ludwig van Beethoven. We think on the 16th of December, 1770. Next slide, please. Bonn was a political heritage of the Federal Republic of Germany. So until 1990, Bonn was the capital. You can see the Villa Hammerschmidt is the residence of the German president. You see Konrad Adenauer, he lived near Bonn in Röndorf. You can see his house. And the Chancellor bungalow used by Willy Brandt, Helmut Schmidt and Helmut Kohl. Next, please. The Rhine, since thousands of years, the Siebengebirge, 7 mountains called Siebengebirge are our natural highlights. And the UN employees and the visitors of UN conferences, they come to Bonn and say it's so romantic and it's so friendly and it's so safe. Next, please. Yeah, pictures of the Drachenfels, the historical wreck railway to Drachenfels Castle, and the view from the Drachenfels to Bonn. Next, please. We have a lot of high qualified museums, forecourt between Bundeskunsthalle and Kunstmuseum, the LVR State Museum, House of History on the same street. It's called Museumsmeile, and it's worth to visit all these high qualified museums in Bonn. So our tourism partner is Tourismus and Congress Association. Contact partners for the tourist group, travel and conference, incentive and congress inquires. Next slide, please. The destination, the region of Bonn. They can offer you a central hotel reservation and booking service, advice for tour operators and group tour organizers, sales service for tourist packages, booking and advice on Beethoven travel packages, expert destination knowledge and a wide range of services. So contact please Tourismus and Kongress GmbH Bonn Rhein-Sieg. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you can have an idea what Bonn is with Beethoven, without Beethoven. It's worth to come. Welcome to Bonn, and thank you for your interest.
Thank you very much, Ralf, for that fascinating update on what's happening with BTHVN2020, and obviously everything that's being planned for Beethoven over the next few months. Obviously, you know, we're fascinated to see that this all goes ahead, because a lot of things are being called off. So I'm hoping that all of this can actually happen, and particularly that Robbie Williams playing Beethoven, just to see how that pans out. If none of us can make it, please send us all a recording, because we'd love to see that. So we're now going to move into a Q&A session, so if anybody's got any questions, please do ask them in the Q&A section, which you can find down below. But before I move on to some questions which have been sent in advance and some that have been posed while we've been talking, I'm just going to ask some questions of Ralf specifically about Beethoven in general and the plans moving forward. So Ralf, why do you think Beethoven is still so popular today?
So what better example could be therefore be for Beethoven's relevance until today than people put in isolation by the coronavirus, standing on their balconies and singing the Ode to Joy? What better example than a decision by the European Union to nominate that music as a European hymn? What better example than literally hundreds of new compositions emerging in the context of the anniversary year that are inspired by Beethoven? His music is even represented in space. The Voyager mission carries a golden record with a sample from the Fifth Symphony. Beethoven's music has always provided a fruitful easel for interpretation and sampling. Beethoven is a cultural asset of immense importance. Particularly in these times, we need his utopia of brotherhood and sisterhood, of respect for nature, and of freedom are so endangered.
Great, thanks for that. Yeah, I agree. Ode to Joy being very timely for what we're talking about here. We all need a bit of joy, of course, and of course, anybody who knows that piece of music knows how inspiring it is. And so my next question is, what would be your recommendation for true fans, and what would it be for a younger audience? Now, obviously, we saw in that video that there's a big push towards getting younger people getting involved with the music. So what recommendation for true fans and for a younger crowd?
So the program runs under the slogan Discover Beethoven and sets out to illuminate Beethoven and his uninterrupted relevance from as many perspectives as possible. Rather than putting a label on Beethoven, for example, Beethoven the humanist, Beethoven the European, Beethoven the visionary, we allow a multi-perspectivity. That is why the program goes far beyond classic concerts, but includes exhibitions, workshops for kids, DJ beats, modern theater, and much more. We humbly attempt to open as many windows to Beethoven as possible. Everybody should find something that opens up Beethoven's world for him or for her. That's our targets. Good.
Yeah, it is good to see that the younger audience is being targeted with this. And so next question, what would a perfect Beethoven-themed weekend in Bonn look like?
So a perfect Beethoven weekend would probably consist of a visit to the Beethoven house, the birthplace of Ludwig van Beethoven, which also features a new permanent exhibition on the life and work of Beethoven. Of course, you should enjoy a Beethoven concert in the Chamber Music Hall at the Beethoven house, or a concert of the famous Beethoven Orchestra in the Opera of Bonn. If you'd like to learn more about Beethoven's 22 years in his hometown and city life in general at that time, the Beethoven Tour BTHVN story is just the right thing. On 11 authentic places throughout Bonn, it provides interesting facts. And the exhibition hall, the House of History, the Bonn Museum of Modern Art, and many cultural institutions are also worth a visit. Those who prefer hiking should not miss the Rhine area and the 7 mountains of the Siebengebirge.
Yes, lots to do, and not just about the music and not just about Beethoven. Next question, are there some interesting facts about Beethoven that we do not normally know about?
Yeah, Beethoven spent his formative years in Bonn, 22 years, longer than Mozart in Salzburg, I told before, which was a political and cultural hub of the electorate of Cologne at that time. Of course, there's an enormous impact. The elector of Cologne was quite liberal. He allowed many progressive thinkers to live and work in Bonn, and at a very early stage, Beethoven came into contact with these ideals of the French Revolution. The first German translation of the 1789 Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen happened to be in Bonn. The ideals of liberty, égalité, fraternité influenced the young Beethoven thinking to a large extent. In Bonn, he already impressed his idea to put Friedrich Schiller's To Joy into music.
Thank you very much. So a couple more questions that have been posed while we've been talking. Andrew Eames has asked, are the December concerts in Bonn live with full audience? That's the 2 concerts just before Christmas. And Alexandra Jonan, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, she also wants to know whether they'll be streamed online. So will they be live with full audience, and will they be streamed?
So both concerts will be allowed for about 300 people. So one at the Telekom Forum and one at the Opera House. So both events will be streamed. One, the 16th of December event will be streamed by Deutsche Welle TV, by WDR. It's a regional broadcaster, by Arte Culture, and about Magenta TV. It's a telecom TV in Germany. And the 17th of December is a European TV event broadcasted by ARD, German's first program. So it's worldwide. You can see the stream and the TV event on live TV on 17th of December at 8:15.
Okay. And Mara, just unmute yourself there for a second.
Okay.
Can we send that information to everybody so that they can access it at the time?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So in the follow-up correspondence, we will send information about how you can see those concerts streamed, obviously not live, unless you want to go to Bonn and watch them live, which I'm certainly thinking about now. So thank you very much, Ralf. Thanks very much for all the update on Beethoven. I hope that's given everyone enough information about BTHVN 2020, what's coming up, Beethoven in general, what you can do in Bonn, etc. Obviously, I mean, there's a lot to do in Bonn and the surrounding area, so it's not just about Beethoven, but you know, try and go to the area, do a bit of classical music, and see the lovely surrounding area. So now we're just going to.
Thank you for the interest.
Yeah, I am very interested in this. So I'm now going to move on to some questions to Mara and Charles about Germany in general. And we had a question that was sent in advance by Madeline Barb from TCG, who I believe is in the room. Yes, she is. So Madeline asked, and this is really a question for Charles. How are you supporting travel agents in the UK and Ireland? For example, are there any new training courses or booking incentives? And she'd also like to hear about any new trade-focused initiatives, as well as the latest destination news.
Thank you, Howard. Yes, I'm happy to answer that. That's a very good question, actually. Up to now, we've run a number of online seminars and events such as this for the trade. Indeed, last week we held a digital trade forum with 12 of our partners from Germany for some 90 trade partners, where we had a range of presenters from Eurowings, the airline, city representatives from Berlin and Dusseldorf, some hotels and other interesting partners. On top of that, I used to run, when this whole COVID epidemic broke out, or pandemic, I should say, broke out, weekly, but they've now become fortnightly Zoom calls with the trade to share information on destination news, products, campaigns, marketing cooperations, possibilities, and of course, from my perspective, to hear from the trade of any news, ideas, or perhaps strategies that they may have. So I'm not doing all the thinking on my own. On top of that, I've set up an online training platform which is designed specifically for the trade and will be available until the end of this year, perhaps longer, depending on the situation. This is hosted on the OTT platform. I also have regular trade newsletters that go out, and of course a wealth of information can be found on the germany.travel website. If anybody's interested in joining the Zoom calls, signing up to the trade newsletter, or accessing the e-learning platform, they can drop me an email. If you didn't see it earlier, I'm sure you'll be able to download the presentation and get our contact details.
Great. Thanks, Charles. So Madeline, I hope that answers all the questions that you had in advance. If you've got anything further that you want to discuss with Charles, then get in touch with him. His details were on that slide earlier, but if you can't, then get in touch with me and I'll pass on his details. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions of Mara now. So Mara, we held an event back quite a few months ago now. It was like June, July.
Yeah.
June, yes, and at that event we talked about a lot of things about how Germany was opening up again. We also met a representative from Lufthansa and from Deutsche Bahn, who gave us an update on air travel to the country, and Deutsche Bahn gave an update on travel within the country. So there've been a couple of questions that have come in advance, just kind of like how do you get to Germany? So there's been a lot of talk about road corridors across Europe and setting up, safe ways of traveling across Europe. Is road tourism and then leading to coach tourism something that you're promoting at the moment?
So at the moment, road tourism, this is a bit tricky because it depends a bit from where you're coming from. Because at the moment, the German government has classified, for example, the Netherlands or Belgium, which you from the UK would probably go through, or France, as risk area. So anyone who comes from a risk area has to quarantine upon arrival, or you have to have a test that's not older than 48 hours. So at the moment, road travel is probably a bit tricky, I would say, in the way that if you then go from the UK through either of these countries, you would be asked to quarantine. So it's at the moment probably better to fly, we would say.
Okay. And what about if you go through Belgium but don't actually stop? Does that count?
That's it. So if you, it's probably still better to have a test that's not older than 48 hours, because there it's very different according to the federal states what they will accept. And if you just go through and you can prove you just went through, but then the question is, how can you prove that you didn't get out of your car, you didn't get out of the train? And so it's still better to have a test to be sure.
If you're on a coach with a lot of people, that's a lot of people to test.
Yeah.
So coach tourism, as much as it might be a good way to travel, might also not be. So you're recommending air travel?
At this moment in time, it can always change. Hopefully again. And
we sincerely hope so. So one the question earlier about a press trip that she's going on in a couple of weeks and wanted to know whether she's going to be okay. And you replied saying, get in touch with me before you go, just to double check. But do you want to just update everyone? I know you mentioned earlier about press trips, that you are doing press trips, and that people would have to come from a risk-free area. Do you want to elaborate on the situation?
So we're still happy to do press trips. There's just, since last week, there have been some developments at certain areas of the UK, like the ones Howard mentioned before, like Yorkshire, Northwest and Northeast England, Scotland and Northern Ireland are classified as risk areas from the German government. What that means is, like, if you travel from that area, you have to quarantine for 14 days, or if you don't want to quarantine, which you probably don't want to, you have to have a test that's a negative test that's not older than 48 hours. And this is not an antibody test, but it's like a full-on corona test. Yeah. But it can't be older than 48 hours. If you have that test, you should be you're fine without having to quarantine. That's at the moment the status. Anyone who travels from London or like more southern England is fine at the moment. It's not a risk area, so you don't even need a test. Obviously, this can change every week, every day. It's always worth monitoring what the updates are. If someone is in doubt and is going on a press trip or anything, they can always email me and I can check what the latest status is, because sometimes some local authorities also have some additional things in place. For example, if you go to Bavaria, you also have to register with the local authority if you come from a risk area, even if you have a test. But then whoever organized your press trip should probably be able to help you with this. So if we organize the press trip, we can help with this. It's a bit, ideally at the moment, it's probably if you're from a risk area, it's not the best way to travel because it's quite with the availability of tests, but we're still happy to organize press trips, especially if you're from a no risk area. We're happy to do that.
Yeah, and there are some people here who are coming from those risk areas, people like Michael Flood from Northern Ireland. So if you want to go to Germany and you want to know an up-to-date information, please get in touch with Mara and she'll be able to help you. We have had one more question that's come in here, and this is from Jim Murty. It says, do you plan to hold the 2021 German Travel Mart in person, or will that be virtual? And if so, will it still be in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern? Sorry. Mara, Charles, which of you would like to answer that question?
So maybe Charles can add to this. I know it will be in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern if it goes ahead live. I know it will still be in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. I don't know what the latest actually is, but Charles will know better if it's virtual or in person.
Yes, as it stands, we do intend to hold it live. The date has been brought forward slightly because normally it's held in May. Next year it's due to be held in April, but there are discussions still going on. So I suggest watch this space. As soon as we know, we'll let you know.
Great. Okay, so there are no further questions, but is there anything that either of you would like to add? I mean, Mara, for example, there are a lot of journalists in this room. Is there anything in particular that you would like journalists to write about, obviously other than the Beethoven celebrations, because that's what we want everything to be focused on, but is there anything else that you're promoting specifically and you want people to be talking about?
I mean, at the moment, obviously Beethoven is one big thing because we missed a lot of this year. I think it's a really great theme and it's a very great like story to tell. So obviously, anything about Beethoven and Bonn, we're very happy to have like support also with information or trips if we can. And then we're really focusing on nature at the moment and small city travel as well. But in general, I think at this moment in time, we're happy for more or less any story, if it's a positive story, of course, to support that with information trips or however we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of positive news stories, please. Charles, anything you want to add to that about what you want to promote?
Well, essentially, I mean, it's really difficult times as we all appreciate, but I think what we really want to get out there is that in terms of health and safety, Germany is a very good destination. It's very highly respected, and there's a lot of initiatives going on out in Germany to keep guests safe. If you have any questions from a trade perspective, then do contact me.
Great. Okay, and as you can see in the chat box, Mara and Charles' details have been posted there, so that you can contact them directly. I think there's no further questions. Is there anything that you want to add, Mara?
I just want to say thank you, everyone, for logging on. It's been great, and any additional information you need, always feel free to contact me or Charles, and we're happy to help.
Charles, anything else?
Yes, again, thank you from myself as well. I know that there were quite a high number of trade participants today, which is wonderful. Good to see you all. Well, I can't see you, but good to know you're out there. Take care, and you know where I am if you need me. Thank you.
And Ralf, anything further that you would like to add?
Yes, I would add to say the calendar of events and concerts you can find at our website, BTHVN2020.de. So take care, goodbye, and see you in Bonn, birthplace of Ludwig van Beethoven.
Lovely, many thanks. So that brings us to the end of this virtual event, stroke press conference. I hope everyone's now inspired to visit and write about Germany and the upcoming Beethoven celebrations. Thank you all for attending and joining us. If you have any questions after the event, you can contact Mara or Charles, and their details have been posted in the chat box on the right. Mara and Charles will also be in touch after today to send you some additional information and reply to any questions that we couldn't get through to today. So thank you to all of our panelists, so Beatrix, Mara, Charles, and Ralf, and thank you all for your valuable time and insights today. We're all looking forward to traveling again soon. It's quite clear that Germany have plans to welcome us all and to celebrate the life of Ludwig van Beethoven with us all. It now just leaves me to say, travel outside the UK will one day happen again, and we look forward to that day. In the meantime, please continue to stay safe, look after yourselves, and we hope to see you all in the flesh again very soon. Thank you very much for coming.